percentage of 178,000 should my house be finished.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind being interrupted there. It was like Louis.
Is that just mine or is that all of them? Okay, I will go distribute them. Good morning. Well, hello, Miss Lucy.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Are you, did you
Good to
have
see
a
you.
long weekend?
Nobody listens anyway, right?
She climbed up so
Yep.
mountain, didn't you?
You did? You got all
Oh,
the way
thanks.
top? Good job.
She was, I was over here like, oh, I'm
Good
not.
morning, sir.
She's like,
Hey man,
How are you? Doing well. Doing well. Thank you. Yourself?
Doing good. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah. Just
Hello. Doing great.
little victories, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot to get one.
Your son have another fight?
No, he won't. He won't fight for another. He probably won't fight for the rest of the year. He'll go back. He hasn't trained all week. He took a week off.
Really?
Oh, you
All
always
year.
Huh?
All year.
Well, I mean, so normally you don't fight 3 times in 5 months, 4 months. That's too much. Between weight cuts and just the
Yeah,
constant.
I guess it has been that long. When you first started talking about it, we were in a whole different class. So that's been a while.
He had a fight in March, May,
Yeah.
and July, and it's too much. It's too much right now. So and every time he fights, he takes a week off after the fight because he went through a weight cut, and it takes a lot out of you, you know. But to do that's too many times. Most people fight twice a year, not 3 times in 5 months. So it'll be good for him though. Know what I mean by little victories? Me and my son, Garrett bought a motorcycle last year for him, an old Honda, like an '83 Honda. And we bought it in Tennessee. We had stopped at my mother-in-law's on the way home. Good to show him. And we had it ran, but we had to go through the whole thing. And we got it to run good, but it was like it had this miss, like this random intermittent miss. Just like you would give it gas and it would like one cylinder would cut out and it would catch again. And it was driving me crazy. I went through the carburetors 5 times thinking it was a fuel issue. And I bought a set of coils for it because I put new coils on it. And unfortunately, I bought these Chinese coils because they were cheap. And I finally saw something different between the 2 coils that said, this one's not good. One of them's not right because they should be the same. So I bought a new set of American-made coils, which cost more. And we put that on and we took it out. We put 60 miles on it yesterday in like stop and go. So it got really good and hot and everything. And it ran perfect the whole time. So we were happy. Little victories.
I like it.
Big smile on his face too. He was getting so aggravated because
How
I
are
told him,
you?
you want an old bike, you're going to be fighting this kind of stuff once in a
Hey
while.
Mel, how you doing?
Okay. Is the class?
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was cool. We went for a nice little ride together.
Yeah. So that was with Garrett?
Yeah.
So both sons don't like to ride, or?
Well, Grayson, I was showing Grayson. I was showing them both how to ride in a parking lot. They'd follow me on a bike, and I'd show them how to just, make turns and shift gears and all. And Grayson got it, and he wants to get his motorcycle license, but he just doesn't have the time right now he's like, it'd be stupid for me to go because I'll never have a chance to do it. Between MMA and work. Garrett, like, every day all I'm hearing is, can I ride with my friends? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I'm like, ride with me a little bit more until I feel confident you're okay out there. And like yesterday, we rode all the way to Noonan on 54 and 34. So we were in a lot of traffic. And it's, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it scares me sometimes. But I watch him. He does good in trail. You don't panic. You don't speed. He does good. So
Good. Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going out riding a motorcycle, but I would be too scared. I think I'd be too timid to. I think I'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I think I would be.
the one thing about like in a bike, right? Like if you're going into traffic, right? If you're making a right turn to get into traffic, you're like 2-lane, right? You just can't be partial. Like when you go, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
You know?
No hesitation.
I'm just saying, like, or if you don't go, if you don't want to go, then don't partially go. You got to either go or don't go. You know, you got to be very black and white like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you want to do something fun, if you want to try it, like really try it, like and really see what you feel like, go to the Harley Rider School.
Yeah.
They got 500cc bikes, and they're fun to ride. And it's in a training course. Like they'll start like from the very beginning, and it's just a good place to like get your feet wet and see if you really like it.
You realize my sister's gonna kill you now, right?
I didn't think about that. Well, you know what I'm
Because if
saying?
he starts liking motorcycles, his sons are gonna start liking
Well, this
motorcycles,
is what
and
I'll
then
say.
they're gonna ride motorcycles.
I have to work for her son one day, for your brother one day a week, so we're even now. It's getting you. I know. Lithium batteries conversion until 2032, right?
Hey, I'm not the one that's assigning him anymore. I only assigned the first one.
I'm just playing. But honestly, if you wanted to try it, Dave, it really is. It's a good like icebreaker just to see if you like it or not. And by the time you get through that course, you'll have the pass to get your motorcycle license.
No. I mean, I would like, if I had enough money that I could just buy a motorcycle and not even worry about it, I would take it to the mountains just to ride those kind of over the mountain roads where there's not a lot of traffic, just enjoy the scenery. That's all I would probably really enjoy. I wouldn't enjoy riding it day to day in traffic.
So you wouldn't take it through Atlanta?
Oh, I don't take my truck through Atlanta. Hardly.
You know, but the crazy thing is, like
People do it. People do
like
it.
from here, you can literally drive 6 miles south on Georgia 85,
Yeah.
going like towards Columbus, and once you're out of that traffic, there's nothing. I mean, you could. There's miles between here and Columbus. There's so much unexplored. That's what I do. I don't go to Atlanta no more. I don't ride to North Georgia no more. I go south. I don't see a car for 3 hours. We always look for places to eat. Go to like Zebulon or someplace.
Yeah.
Just find some off the wall place to
Hey,
eat.
how you
Great.
doing out here? Looking sharp?
Appreciate it, bro. Oh my. You want to say hello?
Good morning, everyone.
You just walked in, sat down, like, you know.
That's how I roll.
Right.
Huh?
You're making a face that you just said that.
I was saying it's
You got a problem with me,
fine. No,
Brent?
I was gonna say it's fine. But you know.
Yeah, but we can't let her know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't.
Because
Was she sick with something?
Do you know her?
Died.
Shelby?
He hasn't
Yeah,
experienced me being
I don't know.
big
She had some other issues.
Me?
I'm not sure you have Janine.
I haven't experienced you being.
No, he hasn't.
I'll bet to say. Really?
She was
Are
the
you mean
sister
right now?
of
I
some
mean,
of
I
the
can
kids
be
that
her.
came to Warrington BBS.
Yeah.
This is just like her resting
Just
being.
died.
Kind of like RBF. This
I
is
think there
like.
was something wrong with her, like autoimmune or I don't know, something.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think
You having a good week?
maybe just not access to
No.
healthcare. I don't know. I have no idea.
I didn't know that.
I went to Warrington.
Anyway, first that, you know.
It wasn't good? I've never been. I was supposed to go.
Oh, really?
I just couldn't get off of work.
Well, you missed out.
Is there stories?
There's stories.
We gotta talk later.
Okay. Yeah, it's exhausting. We got back late Wednesday night, and then I was gone all day yesterday. Yesterday was a good day.
Yeah. You were home?
No,
No?
I was gone all day yesterday.
Okay.
I was in North Georgia. One of my friends is getting married, and so I went to the bridal shower and stuff.
North Georgia. I love North
It's
Georgia.
really pretty up there. They're in Dahlonega. It's great. They have a cattle farm. It's really beautiful.
You ever been up there during Christmas? It's so cool what they do
Oh,
now.
yeah.
It's so neat.
Yeah.
I want to go to Helen and go tubing.
It's really important.
Make sure you
Oh, I
do a
know.
lot of research to see how high the river is first. Because when me and Tara went, they literally give you these like sticks.
Oh, yeah.
Push along.
Yeah, and we're like, we won't need these, but they're like $5, so let's get them, right? The whole time, it's just one rock, next rock, next rock, next
We broke
rock,
our stick.
for like 30 minutes.
So about 2 years ago, me and Garrett went canoeing. We went to Thomaston. You know, Flint. Was it Flint?
Oh yeah, the Flint River.
Yeah, but you know the park there.
Yes, Squirrel Bluff.
Yeah, Sproul. Yeah,
Yeah,
we got.
Alston's there.
Yeah, we went. We got a canoe, right? Well, it was like one of those Junes where like it rained for like 3 weeks straight, so the river was really high. And they're like, oh yeah, it's
Jimmy
not
asked me
moving
last
really.
week, I don't know if
Holy,
they can't get
it was
back,
so much fun.
or they're moving Kendall,
It
or
was like I didn't know they were white
some
water.
reason.
It was
Well,
massive.
tubing? And you can,
I
there's a
assume
bridge you can go where you can see how high the
sometimes
water
I'm
is.
like, what if you're looking?
That's
like
not, that's where it's always the highest, okay?
Yeah.
So it'll be like, oh, they're moving
Yeah.
along. But you don't realize that for
Jimmy
the
sees
30
it,
minutes
he's like,
beforehand, they've been cramming
Yeah,
themselves
at
on the
least he's on my
rocks.
communication.
It's a
Yeah.
hard workout.
Yeah. It's not a very tall river. Very wide.
I just haven't gone. I mean, I've gone a dozen times. I just haven't gone in a long time. I haven't broke the boys yet.
Oh yeah.
I get to see Grayson. I'm wet.
Yeah, poor thing.
Exactly. I lost 4.5 pounds of water weight Friday.
No, you did it.
Huh?
No, you did it.
I did. Garrett was laughing all day.
All right, good to see everyone this morning. We'll go ahead and get into our study. We are almost done with our book, almost done with the quarter. And so I'll just take some time this morning and next Sunday as we wrap up this quarter to remind at least my class, I hope the other two classes are doing the same, to check your Lightpost app and to notice next quarter's classes. And while you're doing that, just register for one and just hit a button. And we have 3 that will be offered. Mitch will be teaching the book of Ephesians, so he'll be our textual study. Can't remember the other 2 right off the top of my head.
Man,
Jim Pelfrey will be teaching, and I'll probably attend that one. It sounds really interesting. The Heart of God, but it's through like the life and the actions of King David, as David is described as a man after God's own heart. What's my other one?
Matt.
Yeah, Matt.
Okay.
Matt O is teaching. I think it's more directed towards parents, but grandparents or just anyone that's interested in it certainly is welcome. But it's family theories and stuff like that. So those are our 3 studies next quarter. So check that out on your Lightpost and register for class. We're wrapping up our study in Genesis. Like I said, the whole quarter. This is the closest we in any of the classes we got to a textual study. To teach the book of Genesis, if we were to go through the text verse by verse, it probably would take a good at least 2 quarters, and that's probably rushing it. And so this way. We more just took a section. We started off, each chapter, Genesis chapter 1, Genesis chapter 2, Genesis chapter 3. And then once we got more into the study in the book, we're covering bigger sections of the book. And we're learning from what's taking place in the book of Genesis. We've looked at Satan in the garden. We've looked at Cain and Abel. We've looked at Noah. We've looked at Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and this will be the second Sunday that we're talking about Joseph. And so that's Genesis in a nutshell, really. You have these big key figures in at least the development of the Israelite nation. I mean, going all the way back to Genesis 12. Genesis 12, early on in the book, you have God's promise to Abraham that he would make him a great nation. And so then you have his son Isaac, and then Isaac has Jacob and Esau, and then you have Jacob and his sons that will eventually become the tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph will not be a tribe of himself. He will have two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. They will be two of the tribes. And we may reference a verse, the birth of his two sons, in just a moment. But thinking about Joseph, what we're learning from Joseph, there's two lessons. This is part 2. And the first lesson last Sunday was coping with rejection. So that's what we see when we look at Joseph and his life. He was rejected, but he also was very successful. And so those are the two parts of his life. Early on, with his family, he was rejected. So that was the lesson, Joseph in Canaan. So when he was in Canaan. But in Egypt, Joseph in Egypt, he's very successful. And we'll notice how Joseph handles this success. That he doesn't, he does not change. The same Joseph in Canaan that was rejected is the same Joseph in Egypt that is successful. So let's lead into our lesson with this thought and this question. There are two sides to the story of Joseph. It teaches us how to handle prosperity, but it also teaches us how to handle adversity. So let me ask you, which one do you think is easier in life? Prosperity or adversity? And why?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Which one is easier in life, in general? Prosperity or adversity? Which one is easier to handle?
I definitely say prosperity, and it is not that it's the best thing for us, but it's easy because, during that time, we're not having a hard time. We're pretty much having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the adversity is going to be a little hard.
Okay, yeah, all right. We got several hands up. I'm going to come back to something Paul mentioned, but I think maybe most of the comments will reflect. So, what's easier, prosperity or adversity? Maybe neither.
Well, that's what I'm focusing on, because you're going to have to face adversity to have prosperity. I mean, because Joseph faced
Sure.
adversity.
So in adversity, I don't think you're in both at the same time. I mean, maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit, but it seems like in life there are times of prosperity when things are good, when we're doing well, but then we find ourselves, falling off of that mountain into the valley, into more adversity. And so, Andrew, you had your hand up.
Yeah. So when I hear you say prosperity, I'm looking at it from, like, if you're just doing, if you're prospering enough to be comfortable, right? There's different levels of prosperity, and those levels can change whether it's easier or harder to enjoy prosperity over adversity. Adversity tends to get you focused, so you prosper again.
Okay.
Getting limited prosperity makes you want to keep doing the same thing, and then if you get too much prosperity, now you have to worry about, there's the dangers of having too much, not being able to handle that prosperity.
Okay. So we've had several comments. They've overlapped. So here's where I'm getting, what I'm getting at. As a Christian, we obviously want prosperity. And there's nothing wrong with prosperity. So I'm never going to condemn being prosperous in this life and gaining and being on the mountain, right? That's fine and that's good. And I want us to all be there. But from a biblical perspective, it's also very dangerous. And that's something that Mr. Paul pointed out, that it's easier to be prosperous, which we see in Joseph. He went through the adversity. And then in Egypt, he's going to prosper like nothing else, like nobody else in the land. He's going to really prosper. But in those moments of prosperity, it can be very difficult to remain faithful. It's oftentimes when we are prospering, if we're not careful, we don't rely on God as much. I think there's the danger. That's what I'm trying to get us to look at, or to understand as a Christian, that sometimes when we get into that season of prosperity, we kind of back away from God and don't need Him as much because things are good. Even just in my experience as a Christian, as a minister, I remember in preaching school, the Memphis School of Preaching is in Germantown, Tennessee, which is a pretty affluent area, and very nice neighborhoods, very nice shopping places. I mean, it's just a very nice part of Memphis. Not all parts of Memphis are nice, but Germantown is. A lot of houses for, the Memphis Grizzlies, the basketball players are in Germantown, the surrounding areas. I mean, it's just a nice area, very rich and affluent. And I remember going out just on campaigns and door knocking, and when we would go to the really nice neighborhoods, just house after house after house after house, just rejected. As soon as we introduced ourselves, they would cut us off, wouldn't even listen to what we had to say. Just no thanks, not interested, close the door. And it was so discouraging to go through those neighborhoods. I mean, I would leave feeling like trash, just terrible about myself, because nobody in this entire neighborhood, with all this wealth, cared about the gospel. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't attend church somewhere. I don't know. But it obviously came out in their behavior and what they wanted to hear. And anyway, but you go to somewhere a poor neighborhood. I remember when we took a trip from Fayetteville here to Wisconsin. Luke Quinn preached up there, and we went to some trailer parks. And almost everyone that lived there would stand and listen to us and talk and ask questions, and they would tell us their struggles, and just a very different experience is my point. So just relating it to the lesson, when we look at Joseph, he went through adversity, he also went through prosperity, and sometimes the prosperity is dangerous, and we need to just be aware of that in our life. Even Jesus said, what if you gain the whole world but you lose your own soul, right? What if you prosper to the point but you go to hell? What good did it do you? We even see Matthew 19, the rich young ruler. He was well off and he prospered, but he sold his soul to the devil as well.
He didn't want to relinquish his wealth.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that relates to our lesson just as we introduce it. When we go to Genesis 39, there's an interesting 2 chapters here as we just think about Joseph. There's 2 chapters back to back of a son leaving home, and they're very different stories. One is a very dark, very R-rated almost story. The other one is very, very different and opposite, and that's Joseph in chapter 39. If we compare chapter 38, Genesis 38 to Genesis 39, they're similar in that you have 2 sons that are leaving home. You have Judah in chapter 38, and you have Joseph in chapter 39. And you compare the 2. I mean, they're next to each other. You have a son leaving home and a son leaving home, but they're such different stories. And Judah, so much went wrong in his story leaving home. Just reading the first several verses, getting into chapter 38, it came to pass at that time that Judah departed from his brothers and visited a certain Adullamite whose name was Hira, and Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he married her and went into her. So she conceived and bore a son. All right, this is going to happen, I think, 3 times. He's going to have 3 sons. Verse 4, conceive another son. Verse 5, and she conceived yet again, had another son, and called his name Shelah. He was at Chezib, and when she bore him. Then Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And Judah said to Onan, go into your brother's wife and marry her and raise up an heir to your brother. But Onan knew that the heir would not be his. And it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife that he admitted on the ground, lest he should give an heir to his brother. I mean, we can stop right there and just see where this chapter is going. And Judah's not in a good position. He is contaminated with the moral laxity of the Canaanites. A lot of terrible things are happening here in chapter 38. Very different. Then you turn to chapter 39. You have Joseph leaving home. Completely different story. He's sold into slavery against his will, but he goes to Egypt. He remains faithful to God. He finds favor with Potiphar, with so many people in Egypt. And God uses Joseph in Egypt to preserve the nation of Israel that is growing and developing through that family. So just an interesting contrast here between the two chapters and thinking about Joseph in Genesis 39. Let's think about point number 1 here. That success comes with attractions. Success comes with attractions. I do have a couple of points I do want to bring out thinking about the success of Joseph, but I also want to read some of what he says in the book. I try not to read from the book unless there's a paragraph or something that I think really adds to our conversation and our lesson. If it helps, and I can't say it any better than he said it here. So, just leading into success comes with attractions. He says, one celebrity musician requests dressing rooms with only white furniture. Another demands bowls filled with only blue M&Ms. Many celebrities allow their fame and fortune to go to their heads. They ignore their fans and mistreat their friends. They allow the attractions of their status to change who they are. But when their star burns out and their celebrity status fades, they soon find that their abuse of others has led to resentment. Unlike most celebrities, Joseph never forgot where he came from. I think that's what makes Joseph so unique, and God used him in Egypt and blessed him, and he found success. But it never went to his head, and he always remained faithful. When everyone else began to like him, he remained the same as when no one liked him. Joseph was about 17 years old when he entered Egypt. At that age, it would have been easy to fall victim to all the attractions that accompany success. And Joseph had plenty of opportunities. And then he goes in to talk about the Bible, recording Potiphar, making him overseer of his house, and then Potiphar's wife. So at such a young age, all of the success and the attractions that came with it, Joseph, it didn't go to his head. He'd never changed from the Joseph in Canaan to the Joseph in Egypt. He remained faithful no matter where he found himself. And so let's talk about this for just a moment. And my thought is that it's interesting when we think about Joseph that he found favor everywhere he went. Think about it. Think about his life. He found favor everywhere he went. Now, let's exclude his brothers. His brothers are the exception. But his father loved him. His favorite son, or seems to be the favorite, coat of many colors, Jacob. But when he leaves home, everywhere that Joseph went, he was favored. Imagine being that type of person that is so loyal and faithful to God that God will bless you and use you in situations, and that you will, that He will use you and people will like you. It may be that your boss at work likes you because you're a Christian, because as a Christian you are honest, you're loyal, you're not trying to cheat the company, you're not trying to, I don't know, show up late or leave early and cheat. And you're faithful, you're loyal, you're honest. You know, people like that as a company. Anyway, so when we think about Joseph, think about his life. Number one, he was favored by God. He was favored by God. That's most important. He was favored by God. But we see that all throughout the book of Genesis. If you have your Bible open, Genesis chapter 39. Now, it never says the phrase that he was favored by God. We won't find that word or that phrase. But we will read that God was with him. So if God is with him, it means that God favors him. And so that's what we desire in our life, that God is with us and blessing us, right? So we do see that phrase, Genesis 39. Notice verse 2. Now let's back up, read verse 1. Verse 2 is our focus. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites and had taken him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And so that phrase is repeated. I mean, drop down to verse 21 as well. Verse 21, same chapter. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. All right, well, there you have a little bit of knowledge where we're about to go in just a minute of who he found favor with. Also, verse 23. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority because the Lord was with him. So 3 times in Genesis 39, it says that God is with Joseph. So we can easily conclude that Joseph was favored by God because God was with Joseph. Who else was he favored by? Well, if we kind of start at his coming into Egypt, the initial his initial coming into Egypt, and what happened after he was sold, we're quickly told that he found favor by Potiphar. Potiphar liked Joseph. Now Potiphar is he is an officer of Pharaoh. He is chief of the executioners and master to Joseph. So he is a high-ranking officer under Pharaoh. He's actually the chief of the executioners, which I think is why when you go to Potiphar's wife and he was caught, why Potiphar was had the authority to put him in prison, because that's what he's over. He can kill you or he can throw you in prison. And we even see one of the, was it the baker or the cupbearer in prison that was eventually executed? I think the baker, right, had the dream, the basket of bread and the birds eating it, meaning that he's about to die. Anyway, so that's Pharaoh. He is an officer, high-ranking officer under Pharaoh, or that's Potiphar. He is described in Scripture, verse 1, as an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard. So he is the one who buys Joseph. But notice what it says. Genesis 39, went down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. Then the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. So then if we jump down to verse 4, let's do 3 and 4. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he did to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had he put under his authority. And so Joseph found favor in the sight of Potiphar, to the point that Potiphar puts Joseph over his entire household. So now Potiphar really doesn't have to think about anything, do anything. Joseph's in charge of it. Nice, right? to have someone in charge of your house. What you got, brother?
Well, also it says that Potiphar saw that the Lord was with him. So
He saw that the Lord was with him,
it's an
and
action.
that everything he did prospered. So, yeah, I think that connects well with our thoughts. What we're trying to get across here was that Potiphar saw that the Lord was with Joseph. That's one of the reasons why Potiphar favored him.
Meaning that he was a just man.
No, yeah. All right, I had another verse reference. I'm going to skip over that. So, God favored Joseph. Potiphar favored Joseph. Who else would be? Who do you think would be next?
Pharaoh.
Yeah, Pharaoh. Yeah, we don't have a.
His wife definitely
Potiphar's
favored
wife.
him. Yeah.
So I would add Pharaoh to that, certainly, but we don't have anything as direct. But going to Pharaoh's or Potiphar's wife favored Joseph. Why? I mean, the Bible tells us.
Yeah. Joseph was a nice looking man.
He was a good-looking man.
Don't the scriptures say he was a good looking man?
Yeah, it does. It says he was a good-looking man. In fact, it uses two different terms to describe that physically in the face he was good-looking, but he also, I don't know any other way to say it, but just his physique, he was attractive. And he let's see, what do I have here? Keep turning back and forth. 39, chapter 39, verse 6. 6 and then 7 through 9. So 6 through 9, thus he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he ate. So that's what I was saying a few minutes ago, that Potiphar lived this life now where he took care of his responsibilities. He was this high-ranking officer under Pharaoh. He just did his job, and Joseph took care of everything else. Potiphar didn't know what he had because Joseph took care of it. And that's the position that Joseph's in. That's you have to trust someone a lot to put them. Anyway, verse 6, the very last part. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. So two different words being used here for Joseph. He was physically attractive and had a good physique. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But he refused, and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me. Does not know what is with me in the house, and has committed all that he has to my hand. And there is no one greater in this house than I. Wow. Nor has he kept back anything from me, but you. You're the only one in his house that's off limits," and he understands that. "Because you are his wife, how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" And so Joseph finds favor in the eyes of Potiphar's wife. But then there's one more that the text explicitly tells us Joseph found favor in his sight. One more. Four told us. Huh?
The guard of the prison.
Yeah, the guard of the prison. The guard, the keeper of the prison. Verse 21. We already read it a minute ago. "But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison." So again, going back to God, like Mitch pointed out a minute ago, that Potiphar saw that God was with Joseph. That's why the same is true here, that because God is with Joseph. And that's the key here. That's what I think we need to land on here with point number one. Not only did Joseph remain faithful, even his conversation with Potiphar's wife, he said, "I'm not going to do this wickedness. I'm not going to sin against God." Like even in the moment, Joseph is like, "Hey, I'm not going to sin here." He was grounded. He was not lifted up, even in his position with his success. He was faithful. He was loyal. He was honest. He fled from this sin and wickedness. Anyway, God was with him. And with Potiphar's wife, or with Potiphar and the keeper of the prison, God was with him and he found favor. Anyway, I think there's a lot to learn from Joseph's life here and his success. Now, here's something to mention, and I'm going to come to Mitch here. Notice the world's definition of success is very different than the Christian's definition of success. In fact, he opens up the book here, if you have the book and read it. His introduction talks about how most people in the U.S. are unhappy with their jobs. According to a 2012 survey from Right Management, 65% of Americans are unhappy with their jobs. I think this is because many people choose to follow a worldly definition of success. So then he goes into talking a little bit more about how the world tells you you're successful if you're a top dog, the big dog. You're making the big paycheck. You're living on the nicest street. Like, that's success to the world. And to the world, Joseph was successful, yet he was also successful with God. He remained faithful to God. He didn't let the worldly success cause him to become unfaithful to God.
Going back to Potiphar's wife, he put her in check first because he made her realize who she was. You're the wife of the man who put you over everything.
That's a good point.
And then he came back after that and said, not only that,
That's a good point.
I'm not going to sin against God.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. All right. We got about 15 more minutes here. Success comes with opportunities. And we see that with Joseph. Success comes with opportunities. And you know, that's even still today one of the blessings of success, whether it's in the world. I mean, there may be some opportunities presented to you that we need to take advantage of. Opportunities. You'll have opportunities that I won't have, and I'll have opportunities that you won't have. But when we look at the life of Joseph, Joseph had some great opportunities because of his success. Something I want to think about. So we're going to talk about the opportunities here. And God providentially will use Joseph to feed his family, his brothers, his father, as they will come to Egypt because of the famine. So God is going to use Joseph providentially. But it's always been a curiosity of mine. When Joseph was put into this, so he was sold into slavery. I mean, his brothers sold him as a slave. So he's against his will, sold into slavery to the Ishmaelites, and taken to Egypt. Then he's sold to Potiphar's wife. But then he's put into this, he's taken somewhat out of slavery and put into a pretty high-ranking position. I've always wondered why he in that position did not choose to go back home, right? Why would you not go back home?
Well, wasn't he still a house servant?
Yeah, but he would. I think he would still be in somewhat of a position to.
I mean, he was still owned
request
as
to
a
go
slave,
home.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, he still could have been like, no, and now I'm going to kill you.
Maybe.
I guess if you wanted to.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a good question, though, I think, because, I look at Moses in the same kind of way. When he was Pharaoh's right-hand man in Egypt also, you would have thought, well, he could have made some moves to get the slave moved when he was in that position. But it's in God's providence that you said earlier.
Yeah.
And evidently, God has a part in that. And when I think about Joseph, David, I think about Romans 8:28, which talks about all things work together for good for them that love the Lord. Yeah. And I know it personally in my life because that's why Joseph is a real good example for me. Because, I've told this story before, and most of you may have heard it, but when I married, I got a good job, I thought. I had a job working at a can company, making good money. Lo and behold, that job went under. Mm-hmm. And the company just downsized. Mm-hmm. And I had to take a job to keep my family with insurance and fed as a janitor. And I did that because I wasn't going to just sit home and not do anything. But even in that position, people will come up to me, you don't need to be here. This not you. You know, you just watching you. You need to be somewhere else. And people kept coming at me with opportunities and trying to help me get out of that. And I saw it as God. Through all of those times, I didn't lose my house. My son had been born that same year. God was with me, and I know He will, because if it wasn't for God, I don't know how I would have made it. But I got this job at the fire department after doing janitorial work, working in construction, and the way I got the fire department job was a long story, but it was God helping me to get to where He wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And I thank God for it, but I still say it's providence from God. And I think all of us, David, have the same thing in Joseph. If we are with God, God will be with us. And He got planned for us that I definitely believe He wants to make work through us. But as long as we stay with Him, they'll work. If not, we'd be like Ruth, He'll use somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's build on those thoughts. So he is bought by Potiphar. He is a slave. And let's talk about providence here for just a moment. And it all worked out. But he's not like a common slave. He's still in a position where it seems like he could have at least requested of Potiphar to go visit his family. He's only about 200 miles from home. He's not that far.
Right.
I mean, he's far enough or close enough that when the sons initially visit Egypt, they go back home to get Benjamin. And then they come back, and then they go back home to get Jacob, and they come. I mean, they go back and forth. He's close enough where he could have just said to Potiphar, "Hey, let me go visit my father." So it's always been like, well, why did Joseph not? But yeah, the end of the story is providence. God needed him in Egypt because of the famine that was coming. The 7 years of plentiful, they needed to store up. Then there's the 7 years of famine. And it's Joseph that's going to be put over the storehouses to distribute the grain, to preserve the people and his brothers, so that the brothers and his two sons will turn into these 12 nations in Israel, and they will continue to grow. They're currently an infant nation. They're growing, but they have to be taken care of. And Joseph's going to be the one to do that. But I had some thoughts. Here's a couple of other things that I just want to think about. Why did Joseph not go back home? I don't know if Joseph knows if this is a thought, but at this point, Jacob thinks Joseph's dead. Right? Remember what the other brothers did when they sold him into slavery, and they took his coat, and they tore it up, and they put blood on it. So imagine Jacob in a position at an old age thinking that Joseph's dead, and Joseph was just to walk into home one day. I mean, I don't know. He probably could have. I'm just trying to get us to think about the text. I'm not trying to add anything to it. But also, there's another verse, and I don't know what to make of it, but in Genesis 41, in verse 51, there's a verse that tells us why he named his oldest son Manasseh. And it has to do with his father's house. I don't know what to make of it with this discussion, but Genesis 41:51, Joseph called the name of his firstborn Manasseh. And names in that time had a meaning. He called him Manasseh, for God has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. I don't know. What does that mean? Made him forget. Did he literally forget everything? I don't know. I don't know. God, but that's the meaning of his firstborn son, Manasseh. But then we have Ephraim, 52. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, for God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So his two sons, one is Manasseh, because God has caused him to forget his toils and his father's house. Ephraim is called Ephraim because he has been fruitful in the land of his affliction, and so he will be fruitful. I mean, this is what we're talking about. He's fruitful and successful, and that's the name of Ephraim. And now Ephraim and Manasseh will be two tribes in Israel. So, just interesting thoughts. But let's build on this a little bit before we run out of time. All right, opportunities. Let's think about Joseph in Egypt. We can trace the success of Joseph by studying his story from beginning to end. Joseph became second in command only to Pharaoh, in charge of storehouses of grain during a time of famine. So let's think about if Potiphar's wife had not pulled her stunt, Joseph would not have landed in prison. If Joseph had not been thrown into prison, he would not have met the butler and the baker. Genesis 40, 1 through 7. If they had not been offended by Pharaoh, they, the butler and the baker, would not have been in jail. If they had not been in jail, they would not have befriended Joseph. So notice everything working out here. Notice God's providence. If the butler and the baker had not met Joseph, he would not have learned of their dreams that I'm sure were providential. He could interpret them so that when Pharaoh has a dream, the connection's made. Oh, I know a man that can interpret your dream. If the butler had not been reinstated, he would not have, 2 years later, told Pharaoh about Joseph's ability to interpret dreams. And so what if the butler had then remembered Joseph earlier, not 2 years later, but earlier? What if we had seen Joseph end up somewhere else in Egypt, bought by someone else? There's a lot of what ifs. But when you study the story or the account of Joseph and everything that happened to him, the turns and twists and the ups and the downs and the this and the that and the adversity and the prosperity, and he lands exactly where God wants him to be, to take care of the storehouses in the midst of a 7-year famine, to then take care of his brothers. And we talked about it a little bit last week, that Joseph was in a position to really do something to his brothers and be mean, and he does mess with them a little bit. But he certainly forgives them and takes care of them. All right, we don't have but 3 minutes. Success comes with rewards. We see that with Joseph. Pharaoh experienced 2 dreams, but it had the same message. He had the corn stalks and was it grain? And then the cows, skinny, fat, same message, that there are going to be 7 years of plenty, and then 7 years of famine. And so Joseph is going to interpret that dream for Pharaoh. And so then after this, if we were to go to Genesis 41, he has set over all of Egypt. So he goes from being in charge of Potiphar's house to now being in charge of all of Egypt. Genesis 41, verse 41. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over all of the land of Egypt." So he has really worked his way up here. Reward number 1. Then he received Pharaoh's ring, garments, and gold necklaces. Verse 42. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand. And he clothed him in garments of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. Wow. Reward number 2. All of this because Joseph's been faithful. Now, I'm not trying to insinuate at all that we will receive this as well by being faithful, but I am showing you that in the midst of no matter what, faithfulness is, there's nothing else like it. I mean, to be faithful in prosperity and anyway. All right, verse 43, he rode in the second chariot, and he had him ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried out before him, "Bow the knee!" So he set him over all the land of Egypt. So, I mean, he is treated like Pharaoh, but he's not Pharaoh. He's second in command. He rode in the second chariot. He is given the authority of a dictator, verse 44. Pharaoh also said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without your consent, no man may lift his hand or foot in all of the land. Basically, he had authority to do whatever he wanted. He was then given an Egyptian name, verse 45, and Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zapnath Paneah. I have no idea how to say his Egyptian name. I like Joseph a lot better. And then, verse 45, he was given a wife. Wow. Man. All of that from interpreting the dream. He got gold. He got fine linen. He got to ride in the second chariot. He got authority over all the land. He got a wife. And the daughter, you see there, daughter of the priest. So Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. Anyway. All right. We have studied the life of Joseph when he was rejected by his brothers and his success in Egypt. That's it. That's all we got time for. We're about a minute past, in fact. We'll wrap up next. How many more Sundays do we have? Do we have 2 or 1? Yeah, we have 1 more, and we have 1 more chapter in the book. Okay. And I'll try to do that along with like a review. But anyway, thanks for your attention. Thanks for being here. Just throw your Bible.
Exactly.
You're out of your element.
Put this one through it.
Not because
Oh yeah, you didn't just have a handle. Sorry, you've just been used a lot.
Oh, man.
All over.
I do that because I like being out of my element.
I know.
I like working.
Doesn't mean I can't make fun of you for
No,
it.
absolutely. I expect the less. If you didn't, I think you were mad at me for something.
You're more important than the skills.
If you stopped being mean, I would think you were angry.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what'd I do?
Good to see you.
Come, Clifford.
Yeah.